The conversational maxims that we're going to look at should not be thought of as absolutes. That is, rules that govern our conversations that have to be adhered to, that there are no exceptions to. They act more as guidance for us to understand what is effective and ineffective within a conversation. The quality maxim requires honesty of us so that we have mutually satisfying conversations. This is culturally specific in that we usually expect other people to be direct and honest with us. That is, to not withhold important information, to not skirt around what they're saying. But like I said, that's culturally specific. Also, secondly, the quantity maxim relates to communicating the type, the length, even the quantity of information to satisfy the other person's needs, their informational needs. That is, if they bring up a certain topic and you know that you need to give some information about that topic, then you need to give them the type of information, as much information as you think they're going to need, maybe even a little bit more, and information that they can use related to that particular topic. I think very connected to the quantity maxim is the relevancy maxim, because when you're looking at the conversational topic, you want to stay on topic. You want to contribute information that's relevant to the topic. You don't want to go off in left field and chase a rabbit, so to speak, or go off on a tangent or ramble. You want to make sure that you are focused on the given topic. The manner maxim is concerned with being organized and making specific contributions so the other person can better understand you and you can better understand them. It's very difficult to have a conversation with someone when they're very disorganized, when they jump back to a previous topic that you thought you'd finished covering, when they interject information at a later point and you're not sure what it relates to. So the manner maxim is making sure that you're organized and that you're specific in the information that you provide and the contributions you make. Morality maxim and politeness maxims have been added to the original list of 4 maxims that were developed. The morality maxim holds that we follow cultural morals. For example, in the United States, if someone tells you something in confidence, it's generally considered a breach of confidentiality and a breach of morals if you were then to convey that information to another person. Also, the politeness maxim emphasizes respect and courtesy in your interactions. There's an entire theory that focuses on politeness, and within that theory you have face that we study, and face is mentioned in a number of chapters. We're actually going to talk about it in just a few moments. But the politeness maxim is definitely focused more on respect for the individual, courtesy, recognize that they're a human being, that they have valuable contributions to make, and that you should listen to them, hear them out, and that you shouldn't make them look bad within a conversation. That's not the point of having a conversation with them. There are ways that we can improve our conversational effectiveness. And hopefully you will take many of these tips to heart, and in some cases maybe these are going to be affirming to what you're already doing. But I think we could always improve our interpersonal interactions, and these are, I think, concrete ways to make that happen for us. First, you need to look at what your focus is in the conversation. Is it you? Is it the other person? Is it your relationship with them? It's kind of difficult to have conversations with people that are only focused on themselves, that are egocentric. So hopefully you have an other orientation, that is, you're oriented toward the other person. And I might even say a step further, from the dialogic perspective, if you're having a dialogue with them, you're not just focused on them, but you're focused on your relationship, the us, the our in the conversation, and creating meaning together. Secondly, you want to engage in appropriate turn taking. Okay, everybody out there that interrupts all the time, that can't seem to hold their tongue until the other person's through, or that hogs all the turns, they try to keep talking and talk as much as they can. You probably don't do that intentionally. But if you're on the receiving end of it, you realize how frustrating it can be when you're trying to tell somebody something important, valuable, you're trying to open up to them, yet they're always cutting you off or interrupting you. So in turn taking, you want to make sure that your turns are equitable, that you give the other person an opportunity to speak and speak often, and to feel like they're heard within the conversation and that they have a voice within the conversation. You want to maintain conversational coherence and that you don't go off on tangents, that you adhere to the relevancy maxim, and that will help your conversations make sense and to be followed by the other person. You want to engage in politeness through face-saving communication. I told you we're going to come back to politeness. This allows the other person to preserve what we call their face or their self-image and respect. So in a conversation, maybe you think the other person is not telling the complete truth, but maybe you give them the benefit of the doubt and you don't call them out in front of other people because that would affect their self-image and their respect. So maybe even you sacrifice a little bit yourself in order to save someone else's face. In some cultures, this is exceedingly important, and face-saving communication is valued above any other conversational maxim. Balance is also important because you want a balance between appropriateness and efficiency. Let's face it, sometimes you don't have all the time in the world to have a conversation with the other person. You have appointments, you're a student, so you have responsibilities related to classes, studying to do, papers to finish, assignments to complete, projects to do. Maybe you work. Maybe you're involved in on-campus organizations or community organizations. Maybe you have family commitments. We're busy people. And so we have to really balance appropriateness and efficiency, because you don't want to highlight one or the other, because if you highlight maybe appropriateness more than efficiency, in a sense, you may take up too much time for a given conversation, and that's not going to be fruitful for your day-to-day activities, getting everything done you need to. But at the same time, if you were to highlight efficiency over appropriateness all the time, that would be your modus operandi. And then you really have to consider how that's going to impact your relationships. You may not have relationships with much depth, and you may not have very many intimate relationships.